You're always looking for
Yeah.
ways to maybe try to bring that bill down, or to
Yep.
increase security in some way to pass some sort of compliance. So yeah, there's a lot here that can help with that.
Yep.
I mean, you talk about attack vectors, and just the fact that you don't have to open any ports inbound to run this is huge.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right out of the gate, you're no longer having someone port scanning your VPN egress. You're constantly authorizing users, right? So
Yep.
with the agent, if someone doesn't patch their machine, or if it's a BYOD or something like that, and they disable their local firewall or their antivirus, you can cut off access to your internal applications almost immediately. I mean, those constant checks are huge for that type of compliance. And then if they're managed devices, you can always take that agent and you can force it so it's always on, so the user doesn't have any option to disable it, which is kind of nice as well. There's a lot there that really speaks to the security piece of this, in addition to the network access piece. So.
Yeah, and also I guess there's going to be categories of customers, right? You're going to have your, we don't really know about ZTNA. This is the first time we're hearing about it, right? And then we have so they're the most vulnerable because the attack vectors everywhere. Then we have perhaps we did our initial, deployment of some kind of ZTNA, but it was probably ZTNA 1.0. It kind of freezes up all the machines. Its performance is really bad for my actual hybrid users or my remote users, right? And this is where SSE comes in, right? We can address this pretty easily and pretty quickly. And this is something that not only, all companies need to address, if not very soon in the next, 6 to 18 months. Everyone needs to work on getting this implemented in some way, right?
I do see this as a big roadmap item for a lot of organizations now. It's definitely something people are looking at more and more, and trying to start their journey. And I think that's somewhere too that we at CNI would be more than happy to help you with too. So, I mean, if this is something that people are interested in, we can do pilots, demos. We're happy to do consulting with you, that kind of stuff. I mean, this is a really cool product with a lot of different use cases. And I guess one of the things we should talk about is, how do you see people normally starting this journey? I mean, I can speak to some of the ways that I've seen it.
So out the gate, right? Our flagship piece of our, of the SSE. So we have ZTNA, SWIG, CASB, right? We always start with ZTNA because there's a lot of stuff in there, right? Yeah. We have our agentless, we have our VPN replacement. And the big thing about the ZTNA solutions, we have to remember, this isn't tunneling back. This is connecting to our Atmos network, right? Which is our cloud network. So in many cases, many of your applications will never need to even touch your data center. And you need to be secure even when you don't need to touch the data center, right? And you don't need to have the performance hit because you're trying to go back to the data center, right? So that's a big thing about ZTNA. Even if your site was to go down and you have ZTNA up on all your computers, you're still, unless you have applications hosted there, even if your site just goes great for some reason, your site just goes off, right? You're still going to be able to secure those computers. You're still going to be able to go out. You're still going to be able to do inspections, right? There's a lot of things that come with this, right? So for customers, you really just start off with ZTNA, right? Especially if you're coming from either a ZTNA 1.0, right? Maybe performance is bad. Maybe there's a lot of things you can't do. The agentless doesn't really work that well. You start off with us and our ZTNA 2.0 or ZTNA for the modern environment. This is going to help customers that don't have anything. And that's really where you start off. And then after that, you start to implement things like SWIG, CASB, right? And those are going to be natural things based on the requirements that your user space is going to have, right? And like I said, this is a big thing, right? HP Aruba Network was great to acquire this, right? A lot of people loved it, and just like a lot of the products that we have, we're not going to pigeonhole you to all of our pieces of our portfolio. You could stand this up we want you to have all of our pieces of our portfolio, but you could stand it up in any environment,